You know, it was explained to me many years ago when I got into boat racing, and I said, hey, what is boat racing like?
Look at this, look at this.
And I was told it's like getting into 1,000 car accidents in an hour.
We've all got this adrenaline addiction.
And we're going green, superboat racing here in Key West, Florida.
I don't know of any other situation where you're racing and the track is continually changing.
Most people have no clue what it is to be out there running 130 miles an hour. Anything can happen.
No one wants to wreck their rig, right? You don't ever want to put yourself in a position where you're going to crash or you're crashing another boat. You just have to have faith that you can pull off what you're going to do.
Every lap is different. You're going to hit one of those things and it's coming. You just don't know exactly when.
Then it's game on. And that's the most frantic time. The rest of the time is make sure you don't get hit.
So you have a 14,000-pound boat hitting you at every wave. It's a little bit overwhelming.
That course is a key factor.
The liquid race course is forever changing.
The Superboat World Championships, presented by STIHL.
Hey, this is it. This is the climax of the season for the biggest, baddest boats in the world in offshore racing, the Superboat World Championships, presented by STIHL, coming to you, as always, from Key West, Florida. Tommy Sanders here with Mike Yawoski. And Mike, this is the ultimate. This is what you're aiming for all season long.
This is the Super Bowl, or this is the Daytona 500 of offshore powerboat racing. This is 3 days of racing in ever-changing conditions, an ever-changing environment. You've got to think about the salt water, the weather, the waves. Everything comes into a factor when you're in Key West, Florida.
We'll be covering the marquee classes, 3 of the classes today, the big boats, the top attractions here, starting with this one, Superboat Unlimited. Unlimited means just that. There's really no restrictions except for length, 42 to 50 feet long, turbocharged, fuel-injected big boats. 3 days of racing, that's an important point to remember there. You have to push everything to the limit, but you don't want to break everything at the same time. You have to walk a fine line. Let's take a look at this race course on the water.
Yeah, you're going to mill down there at the bottom. That's what the circle is. Then you're going to come out. There are a couple of buoys they have to navigate as they cross the start-finish line and head out to turn number 1, which is known as the wall. This is where the waves can get really big, really tall, really fast. Then you'll head down this back straightaway, back towards Fort Zachary. You'll come into turn number 2. This enters into the harbor. Lots of holes right here. There's a couple drainage pipes that tend to push the water up. Then you cross what will be the start-finish line, back down into the harbor turn. Tommy, one of the hardest turns in offshore powerboat racing because of how tight this is, and that's a lap in Key West, Florida.
About 4.5 miles in length, this race course right here. And as we always say, every foot, every square foot of it changes with every passing second. That's what separates this kind of racing from any other motorsport. Huge crowds here in Key West, one of the top attractions of the year, definitely coming out here to the mall area, the southwest point of Key West. You're familiar with it if you've been in the area before, and it gets packed for race day. One boat making their debut here in Key West this time around, 2016. The Wake Effects, the 03 boat, US 1, the most successful boat so far during the regular season. We've seen this boat before. This was the MTI boat, CMS 03, last year.
Last year it had John Tomlinson and Jeff Harris on board, and they were involved in a very serious collision in turn number 1 in 2015 here in Key West, Florida. They were going down into the harbor turn. They were getting ready to set their corner, and boom, there is CRC, Sunlight Supply, just drove right over the back of them. Kind of unclear what happened there. Maybe didn't set the corner, but the damage done to CMS was catastrophic. Some would question whether the boat was even going to make the race the next day, but the team at MTI and the team at TNT Marine got it figured out, and they were able to finish the race.
It's amazing what these teams will take on even in an overnight situation, and even more amazing what they can accomplish. But this is racing. They come prepared for incidents like this.
As the boats are going to get ready to line up for their start, we are under a yellow flag. So the boats will line up across the harbor in Key West and race out to turn number 1. You can see they're going opposite direction of the harbor turn. We are yellow flag right now. There's the green flag. We are going racing Key West style 2016.
Leg 1 again of this race course heading toward the south and west, heading into turn number 1.
great onboard footage of CMS, Miss Geico, and CRC Sunlight Supply as they head out to turn number 1. It looks like CMS is taking just a slight lead over Geico. Geico all the way on the outside on board.
That's a look right there. Yes, it is Geico on top. We'll be taking them down again to turn number 1. Good weather conditions generally right now, but as we all know, that can change moment to moment.
Look at the deck-to-deck battle between Miss Geico and CMS into turn number 1. Geico had tremendous speed going out this straightaway. It is pretty flat. Whoa, big hop there. Miss Geico, CMS stayed in the water. Look how much ground they were able to make up going into turn number 1.
Both of these boats picking their line for the first turn of the day, kind of critical.
CMS on the inside, Miss Geico on the outside. Remember, they have to maintain their lanes through corners. CMS would not be able to push out towards Miss Geico. They had to stay where they were, and it worked out. They drove into the corner harder, and they came out with the lead.
CMS opening up that lead right now. We're in the short leg of this racetrack, about a half a mile back to the east before they take turn number 2 and head back to the start line.
This is why offshore powerboat racing has an ever-changing course. Now they're running on waves coming from a different direction from the previous straightaway they were on. Plus, there are some drainage pipes here just like that, caused a big hop. They had to back out of the throttles just a little bit. But 3, CMS continues to lead. But look at 03, your national champions, Wake Effect stalking in 3rd place.
Geico maybe making up a little bit of ground on the CMS boat, but from this perspective, it is not much, as these boats are heading right now past the crowds. They're all the roar, getting everyone revved up here in Key West.
That was a defensive move by CMS. There was a course marker buoy right there, and you saw they pinched down and kind of pinched Miss Geico towards it, because Geico had to lift. That gave CMS just a little bit more room. This is the hard corner here. You've got to back way out of the throttles and set the boat down into the corner. Whoa, look at Miss Geico trying to look up the inside. But Tommy saw they couldn't hold their line there. They actually had to jump out from behind Miss Geico because they couldn't stay there. 2 factors there, chop from the other boat and also aeration from the prop wouldn't allow the boat to set in the corner, but CMS continues to lead.
So CMS 3, Miss Geico, Wake Effects 1, 2, and 3 maintaining position as we come very near the end of lap number 1. These 10 laps of racing in race number 1, Key West.
On board our top 3, you can see the speeds just about 150 miles an hour. But Tommy, this boat is hanging back in 4th place, number 7, CRC Sunlight Supply. Mike DeFries, Gary Blue, a lot of experience on this boat. 2 very smart racers. In fact, Gary Blue raced earlier today, so he kind of knows what this course is like. He could help set up this boat a little bit more. This may pay off later in the race.
Yeah, we've just got 1 lap under our belt and some change right now. Anything can happen. Plenty more to this first race for Superboat Unlimited when we come back.
The Superboat Key West World Championship presented by STIHL is brought to you by Geico, WHM Plumbing and Heating Contractors, and by STIHL, the #1 selling brand of gasoline-powered handheld outdoor power equipment in America.
Superboat Unlimited class still racing in race number 1 of these 3 races that comprise the Superboat World Championship. For this class, CMS 3 still in the lead.
Tommy, while CMS continues to lead, look at boat 113, Miss Geico. They are making up ground. We're just past the halfway point, headed back into the harbor. Tommy, I can see a lot of changes in Miss Geico. It's a lot looser. It's hopping around a little bit more, a lot more trim. They're lightening up on fuel. I think they got the speed to beat CMS.
CMS 3 has had that lead since turn number 1, so that's been the assignment for Team Geico here. Figure out a way, change your adjustment, trim your tabs, do what you need to do to gain that lead back, maybe on the straightaways, or is it in the turns when this is going to happen?
Races are always won and lost in the turn, especially in this class, because everything is so close, right? The power is so close, the props are so close, the boats are even so close that they're going to almost have the same exact speed on the straightaway, but in the turns is where a race can be won and lost.
This Geico team, tough year last year, did not finish any of the races here in Key West. For this legendary team, trying to do what they can do to put them back on top.
It's been hard luck in rounds 1 and 2 for Team Miss Geico. Now they are being passed up by CRC Sunlight.
It was an epic fail.
On board now, Miss Geico, and Tommy, she's coming off plane. Not again.
It was everything that we could, that we wished wouldn't happen, happened.
Geico's got a faint smoke coming out of the port motor again.
from motor failures to having to borrow engines. Everything that we are a part of and everything that we tried to do just didn't come together in an epic way.
From the outside world looking in, it looks like we can't finish a race. We planned on testing every race. Every race was a test to try to find what was wrong and get better and better and better, with the hopes that it would all culminate here at the World Championships.
We've been working very, very hard as a team to try and get back on the program that we've had for many, many years. It's a winning team. Anybody who's been a part of any sporting team knows that trying to get that back takes a lot of work. It just doesn't happen again. For us, with our engine program and some new crew members, we just had to take it race by race. And these guys have worked very, very hard to get to that point. Hopefully we'll be able to triumph in the end. The past couple of years have been a humbling experience for the team. We just got to put all of the losses and the reasons we lost in the computer, the mental computer, learn from those mistakes and do what we know how to do, which is win.
The Geico team trying to win this one right here. Unfortunately, they've been trailing CMS for the entirety of this race, and look, we're already on lap number 7.
But Tommy, they haven't been trailing by much. I think they may be setting them up to pass them in the corner. They're looking inside, they're looking outside, they're making all these adjustments very quickly, trying to find that hole to put it in there to get around CMS. Look at how loose that boat is, though. I mean, they are all over, sideways, up, down, hitting that drainage pipe we talked about earlier. Now they've gone back to the inside. Let's see if this can work going into the harbor turn.
Going down the home straightaway in that harbor turn, we've talked about it hundreds of times. The most treacherous, requires a lot of forethought and some tricky execution, especially if you're going to make that the point where you overtake a team in front of you.
Exactly, but these boats also, we're looking forward, but these boats also have rear-facing cameras inside them. So Bob Bull, Randy Sissom are able to look behind them and see what's going on. They have spotters too, but they can see, whoa, look at that! Look at Geico to the inside of CMS there. Whoa, big hop there for CMS over the rooster tail. That's going to give Miss Geico the lead. That's a gutsy move right there, Tommy. That took a lot of skill to get that boat in that little hole.
Absolutely. You're going to see conventionally a whole lot of slowing down at that point. The Geico team basically floored it through this turn.
Well, this CMS had been doing this every lap, Tommy. They had been going out wide and coming into the pin, and that's exactly what Bob and Randy were going to do. They went out wide, but there's Geico just right in there. That's a very, very precarious situation for both teams. Look at CMS. That is actually the rooster tail and the thrust of Geico pushing CMS up into the air. Very, very dangerous right there. But you got to give it to Mark and Scotty. They had the gusto to drive that boat into that corner that hard.
We have to talk to these teams. I don't know if there was contact right there, but it was very close. If not, contact hull to hull.
No, and now Bob and Randy are going to have to recompose themselves. I mean, they're probably a little freaked out, a little scared. They're going to have to recompose themselves, try and make up the ground. But Miss Geico, they did what they needed to do, Tommy. They were setting them up that entire corner, the entire race, and they finally took the lead.
CMS guys, everyone kind of picking their jaw up off the ground. Everyone knew it could happen. No one expected it to happen that fast, and it really did happen in a flash, Mike.
Well, I think they were setting them up the entire race to make that move on the inside. They really wanted to get there, and they did.
As we watch this, and one more time, let's take a look at this. Talk about what's required of you rules-wise to make this a legal move.
Well, this wasn't safe, right?
Okay.
About another 5 feet, and Geico probably would have hit CMS, and you would have seen almost what we saw last year between 03 CMS and CRC Sunlight Supply in contact. You don't want contact because the damage could be detrimental to the boats, but could also be detrimental to the teams. This is going to have to be looked at, I think, by the officials. I mean, you're talking maybe a foot and a half distance there between 3 CMS and 113 Miss Geico. It's going to have to be examined by the race officials when this is all concluded. But hats off to Geico. They made the move. They committed to the corner. They put it in there, gave the lead. A good way to come back compared to last year.
Geico fully in charge right now, and for Team CMS, hey, the hunted becomes the hunter. They got to figure out some way to run them down with very little time. Look at that, lap 9 of 10 laps already.
The white flag lap, Mark and Scotty are just maybe cruising right now. They've probably got the confidence. I think CMS is going to have to rebuild their confidence a little bit, though, right? They're going to have to kind of recompose themselves, get their act together just a little bit, and figure out how they can make up some ground in this last lap, because they're going to have to do something in order to get them back. Whoa,
that's a problem right there, right?
Well, they hit a buoy. That is definitely going to be some sort of infraction. Let's see exactly what happened as we go into this corner. Oh, I saw it right there. There was a little bit of a white cap of a wave. It pitched that boat sideways, and they almost ran the buoy right down the tunnel of the boat. Now, that is a penalty according to the rule books of Superboat International, and there will be a guaranteed infraction for that.
1 minute penalty is what they're talking about. It could certainly change their finish position, right?
It could. Remember, 3 days of racing, though, points accumulated after 3 days, so you don't know what's going to happen by the time Sunday comes around. Miss Geico continues to lead.
Mark Granite, Scotty Begovic just have to bring this one home to the barn right now. Don't break anything. Make it all the way to the finish line.
We should see the checkered flag on the start-finish boat. What a beautiful boat. The Victory Hull has been very good to Mark and Scotty. They're getting their engine program figured out. Gary Stray, the entire team, has done such a fantastic job. A well-deserved win on day one in Key West.
Well, we learned earlier that's been the focus of the team. Get back on top. Hey, mission accomplished here on day number 1.
The penalty has moved boat number 3, CMS, back to 3rd place. 1 minute penalty for hitting the buoy. They're going to have some ground to make up in the points for the World Championships, but that moved CRC Sunlight Supply up to 2nd place, which is a great position for them to be after day 1 in Key West.
Great job by CRC Sunlight Supply. This team staying in touch with the leaders throughout that entire race, because as we all know, nothing's official until the race is over. Maybe hours, a day even after the race is over. You never know exactly where you're going to wind up, but that's our unofficial standings right there. Miss Geico, top points, back on top. 2nd place unofficially, CRC Sunlight Supply, and CMS in 3rd.
Tommy, look at the boat in 6th place. 03 Wake Effects, our national champions, Rusty and Jeff, having a rough day on the first day in Key West.
All right, 1 race in the books. That's a good start, but there's a long way to go.
We worked for that one, definitely. It was exciting. They gave us a hell of a fight out there. You know what I mean? It's a fast boat. They're such competitive guys, and you know, we were both just fighting it out. That's what offshore racing is about, being able to go 7, 8 laps, 9 laps like that at full throttle with, you know, 4,000 horsepower, 2 boats going at it, you know, tooth and nail. It's incredible stuff, incredible.
Good stuff to get going today. 2 more races on the card in this first day of racing. Coming up next, Superboat Extreme. And will this day turn out to be a rematch between that epic battle between these 2 boats from last year? Back at Key West, Superboat World Championships presented by STIHL. The Geico boat, winner of that first rate, Superboat Unlimited, at least the unofficial winner for the time being, as that boat gets lifted out and ready to go. But they're going to take another look at this one. We understand now. They're always going to take a look at a situation that is this tight, this close in a very key turn.
Well, yes, and also something that's really, really unsafe. At the end of the day, it's all about safety, right? We don't want anybody to get hurt. I mean, these are 12,000-pound fiberglass missiles running around a race course, and you have to give it to Mark and Scotty. I said it before, they made the turn, they committed it. It took a huge amount of talent to be able to do that, but to get that close to the inside and to be that close to CMS, I think there will be some sort of infraction coming for that.
Meanwhile, our next class getting ready to go, Superboat Extreme, 35 to 46 feet long maximum twin V8s, naturally aspirated carburetors, Superboat Extreme, and 4 boats getting ready to go in this class.
3 fountains, 1 outer limits, AMH Construction Instigator. They were your winners last year, Tommy, in that huge deck-to-deck battle with Cooper Standard. Hope we get to see that one more time. Peter Meyer, the throttles, Johnny Stanch, the driver. Ton of experience this boat. This boat is very fast. I love these fountains. I would love to race one. I just think they're fantastic boats. Remember, 3 fountains, 1 outer limits in this 4-boat fleet.
You only see that one every 20 years. I said, this can't keep going on. And but it is the World Championship. They're good competitors, and they were banging us. It was a dogfight. Johnny says, what do you want to do? And I said, Johnny, whack him. You pull back for a second, it's all over. And it just so happened it was in that spot in front of all the people. You guys were on it with the cameras. You don't get to see that every day. I mean, that was a great photo scene. It was a great race. You can't make that up in boat racing.
The Instigator boat winding up on top after all was said and done last year. No longer the Hooters boat, now a new sponsor, AMH Construction right now. They come into this one, Mike, as US 1, the champions throughout the regular season.
The odds-on favorite in Key West are going to be Peter and Johnny Stanch in AMH Construction Instigator, but we cannot count out Cooper Standard. Another Fountain, similar boat, similar power. A wicked battle last year, as you saw previously, a huge deck-to-deck battle. Ton of experience between these two boats, but we also have an unknown variable here, Tommy. The Outer Limits, Joe Scrow, Steve Curtis on board. Brand new boat, first time in the water, first time racing. It'll be interesting to see what they can do.
Everyone anxious for a good look at that boat, the Outer Limits 43, as we are getting ready. We're going to get them started right here.
Well, there's Outer Limits on the outside. They actually got a really good start in that outside lane, taking the lead, but look at Cooper Standard come up the inside. Not sure what happened to Instigator AMH Construction. They have fallen a little bit further back than what we're accustomed to seeing with them. But Cooper Standard, without a doubt, has this speed going out into turn number 1. Outer Limits on the outside, AMH Construction Instigator on the inside. Remember, you have to maintain your lanes going through the corner. These are step-bottom boats, so they're going to want to slide through a corner a little bit more, but you can see Cooper Standard pinches down on that buoy just a little bit. Doesn't give, whoa, almost a spin out there. Almost went to the inside of the exit pin of turn number 1. Tommy, that would have been an infraction on AMH Construction Instigator if they had missed that buoy. Luckily, they were able to slow down, back out of the throttles a little bit, reset the boat, not lose too much ground to Outer Limits and Cooper Standard.
You'll always save more time just backing off right there instead of having to do that go-around, right?
Exactly, but AMH Construction Instigator did a great job on the inside. They have taken second place away from the Outer Limits, but look at Billy and Brett run those buoys. I mean, they are right next to them, swapping just maybe a little bit of orange paint for red paint, trying to control that inside line. They know that Peter and Johnny will look in there if they have to.
A few changes in the conditions since our last race, the Unlimited race. A little bit more chop on the water, but generally favorable to these teams. Now, what's built more for this course, the mono hull or the big ones like we just saw in the Unlimited?
Well, if it's going to be rough water and it's going to be chopped like you just talked about, it's going to be a mono hull. Look at it being a knife. It's going to cut through the water. It's going to fly a little bit better. A catboat rides up on a cushion of air like a wing of an airplane, so it creates lift. Up, up, up. Well, if you have rough water, what's going to happen? You're going to get more air onto the boat, and you're not going to be able to go as fast. Here is the harbor turn, though. This is that turn where we saw Miss Geico put that move on CMS, and Tommy, it looks like AMH Construction Instigator is trying to do the same thing, but with these step-bottom boats, look at how they couldn't hold that corner. They had to let the boat slide out a little bit. If they turn the wheel too hard or chop the throttle, that boat could spin out or maybe end up upside down.
Did not have the speed, did not have the position to quite pull that move off with that particular turn right there, but we got more of the race on the way. Now again, 7 laps for these teams here in Superboat Extreme.
The Superboat Key West World Championship presented by STIHL is brought to you by Wake Effects, AMH Construction, Geico, and by STIHL, built in America, believing in America.
Superboat World Championships, Day 1 racing from Key West, Florida. This is class number 2 for today. Superboat Extreme, 36 to 46 foot long boats with mono hulls, and in charge for the entirety of this race so far, Cooper Standard.
Don't count out AMH Construction Instigator, though. They can pull off a come-from-behind victory here in Key West, Florida. Lots of experience in that boat. I think they've got the hands to be able to do it.
This team looking to repeat again in 2016. Here's a team that really embraces the entire scene down here in Key West. They are veterans at this event, and they know how to throw a party.
Coming down to Key West boat race is great, but I think sometimes you got to come down and have a good time. That's what I'm in it for. I mean, for 35 years, we've been doing it, and it's gotten to the point that it's really about having the fun and meeting the guys, and everybody's coming over. The WHM guys going over, the Gonigan guys coming. We invited a bunch of other teams over. Gonna cook up some steaks. We got some salad. As you see, we got some shrimp coming out. We got some beer and soda. But they get to see a lot of multi-million-dollar boats. You get to see 3 days of great racing. They get to see some exotic cars, as you can see, that some Lamborghinis and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a little bit of a showstopper, you know what I mean? Hey, who's got the best camp? Instigator! He wants to know who feeds everybody. We don't, you know?
AMH Construction Instigator, definitely a stop you want to make if you're down here at Key West. They have been trying with some futility throughout this entire race, though, to keep up with the Cooper Standard team.
They've moved to the inside. They're going to try and run a little bit shorter of a course back into the harbor turn. Let's see if it's going to work. You can't ever count them out, though, but Cooper Standard looks good, Tommy. The boat's running good. It's flat. It's amazing to see the difference between the mono hulls and the cat hulls you mentioned earlier.
Again, we're running out of time, especially for AMH Construction. They've got less than 1 lap in order to catch this team, run them down, the Cooper Standard team, and a lot of space to make up at this point.
And this could come down to props. This could come down to setup. You know, Cooper Standard could have a little bit taller of a wheel, maybe have a little bit more speed on the straightaway, and maybe AMH Construction Instigator is a little bit faster through the corners, but unable to make up that ground on these very, very long straightaways in Key West. And you can see the difference in that corner. They went out really, really wide. They're trying to maintain as much speed as they can. Maybe they don't have the acceleration they're looking for, but again, this World Championship is not lost or won in the first day of racing. This is a culmination of 3 days of racing, 3 days worth of points, so you can never count anybody out. AMH Construction Instigator slowing now. Not sure if this is going to be a mechanical problem or what's happened, but let's see if we can hear what Peter Meyer and Johnny Stantz are talking about on board.
They didn't put any check the flag out there. We did 32 miles on the counter. We did 32 miles. It doesn't make a difference too much. My fault. My fault.
Heard Peter Meyer there saying, my fault, my fault. It's not easy. I mean, we see the visibility these guys have. They have the checkered flag in the middle of the course right there. They may not have seen that, but how else would they judge whether they're done with a race or not?
Well, races are broken down in 2 ways. Either you're going to count laps or you're going to run a certain amount of miles. Miles is more for fuel, so they can know gallons per hour, so on and so forth. But you've seen little pieces of tape, like you saw at CRC Sunlight Supply. Those pieces of tape have numbers on them. So if you're supposed to run 7 laps, you're supposed to have 7 pieces of tape that you're going to pull off every time you go around. Well, if you're in a heated battle or something goes wrong, you may forget, you may simply just make a mistake.
One thing's for sure, absolutely no mistake made today by the 30 boat. The Cooper Standard boat pretty much took the lead from the get-go, made it look easy as they completed the 7 laps. Freedom boat, second place right there. Joe Ferrer, Jason Ventura, managing to stay in touch with the leaders, but not really to challenge for the lead throughout the course of this one.
Rough day for the 43 Outer Limits team. This was a brand new boat, first time racing. Obviously, they've got some bugs, some gremlins that need to be worked out. I expect a lot to come from this Outer Limits team, though, in the next few days of racing.
Only 3 boats completing this one right there. There are your official points, though. All the teams did collect points there, and top points going to Cooper Standard. Remember, race 1 and 2 are those point schedules right there. Double points for that final race, race number 3. So like you said, Mike, it is not over, far from over after race number 1. When we come back, our marquee event, the Superboat Races number 1 from Key West. Superboat World Championship from Key West, Florida, always the centerpiece. The Superboat class about to swing into action with race number 1 right now as we look at the STIHL 13 boat and a heavy heart, all of us, as we think about what we've lost, and that's the leader of this team, J.R. Noble, last year.
Not just a leader for the team, but a leader for the sport, an icon in the sport. A tough, tough loss, but nobody better than his son Jake to take over.
Shortly after Key West, 2015, we're in meetings with STIHL and JR, and we joined forces again. But JR was super excited, and I was super excited, and it was all just one big happy family until that night.
911 emergency.
I go to work every morning. I'm usually up around 4 in the morning. My phone rings at 5:30. Says, listen, I know you don't want to hear this. I got some bad news for you. We lost JR last night. I'm like, what do you mean we lost JR last night? He's like, You know, our team and JR's team was very tight. You know, they got their own situation in their family going on, and you get someone like Hutch, who is like JR's brother. I mean, JR never went anywhere without Hutch. And one of the first calls Hutch makes is to Ray to say, you got to call Billy. And it really hurt. And you can hear me getting choked up, so it does hurt.
The nerves come up. You know, there's definitely emotion there, and you know, it just feels like that he should be here, but he's not.
He was very competitive. I watched him rub paint and swap positions with several of our other teams, and he was about as racy as you can get, and I'm sure he still is.
JR was a true gentleman. He was a great guy. Every single race, I would get out of my cockpit and go right to his pit and have my first celebratory beer.
You know, JR was always a smile on his face, always had his hand out trying to help everybody in any way possible.
He's my angel. That's what he is. He's actually my angel. So every time I'm out there, he's watching me. He's watching his son, he's watching me. So he means a lot to the sport. He ain't never gonna be forgotten.
Key West is a big family event for us. So, I mean, I got my grandparents here, my aunt and uncle's here. But it's nice because we get to go to some of the same restaurants, have the same memories, and it's all of us together.
There are really, really good guys in this sport. You know, ones that respect family, that love the passion of racing, and will put all the effort into it. He stayed classy. He stayed poignant. He always had a smile on his face. You were always welcome to come in his camp. For us that are here now, we need to cherish that when it comes in, because you don't know when it's gone.
JR Bob Noble will be missed, especially missed this week. The new team in place, and Jake Noble, he's got that to deal with, plus being a rookie here in Key West.
Well, he does have one of the best throttlemen, Grant Bruggerman, with him. He knew his dad well. It was a great team, a strong team, but really, really big shoes to fill for Jake, and we wish him all the best here in Key West, Florida.
Got to get his maiden voyage here in Key West. When we come back, the Superboat race is on the way. Welcome back to Key West Superboat International World Championships. Getting ready to watch the Superboat class in action here. Meanwhile, earlier today, the rest of our classes competed their round one races. In Superboat V, it would be 51 Sunprint. Steve Furman and Steve Miklos at the controls. Stock 1, FJ Propeller, Jamie Harrison and Gary Ballou took the top spot. Production 3, Second Amendment, Carl Stigger and Neil Wobble, first place finishers in that class. And Production 4, hey, love this name, always love this name, Crazy Chicken, number 33, D. Early, Anthony Silveria. They got it done on this day of racing. Right in the middle of the Superboat International World Championships from Key West, Florida. Everybody's been waiting for this, the Superboat class in action. Specifications, catamaran boats, 36 to 44 feet, naturally aspirated, carburetors, and several other stipulations as well. It's definitely a spec race. There's your defending championship team right there, WHM Motorsports. Billy Moff, Jay Muller there. Really had it under control last year. They were US 1, the national championships, and they followed it up with a world championship. Nothing less, you imagine, will do it for them this year. They're still celebrating a little bit of a hangover from 2015.
World champion, Key West, 2015, WHM. US 1 national title, WHM, 2015. It's called getting it done, man, getting it done. Number 1, Key West, yeah.
Getting it done, top of the world in 2015, and you got to think, Mike, this WHM Motorsports team have to be our favorites coming into this go-round.
I think they're the favorites for sure, but what I would be concerned about is the variables, the unknown variables. T Custom Marine back after all season off for their first race in Key West. Remember, last year they had a fantastic first day, dominated the fleet. You've got STIHL with Jake and Grant on board, and then Gone Against Gator. Rookies, just flat-out rookies is all you can describe them as. Let's see what they're capable of doing here in Key West. That is the old STIHL boat also, so we know that boat can win. We know that boat is fast.
All right, again, 9 boats at this start here, so that makes it a critical part of this race. We'll see how it goes as we get closer and closer to green flag time. On board the steel boat right there. There's your green flag.
Green flag racing here in Key West. HP Mafia gets pinched off on the start. Looks like Gone Again, WHM, and Pro Floors out into the early lead as we go on board with the rookies. Tommy, what a day for them. Top 3 going into the first turn in Key West, Florida. Look at that.
As we get closer and closer to turn number 1, and the steel boat not faring too well either. They get pinched off into 4th place.
All the boats trying to come down. They want to get that line going in the corner. Look at the rookies on the inside, and Gone Again, WHM in the middle, and Pro Z Floors on the outside. I said it before, I'll say it again. They have to maintain their lane through the corner. Now Sailor Jerry Auto Nation coming up on the inside of Gone Again. We've got a 4-way battle going into turn number 1. Don't count out US 1. Performance Boat Center Jimmy John, they're coming up from behind also.
WHM Motorsports looking solid as they always do at most stages of every race right now.
Pro Floors on the outside. Wow, look at Performance Boat Center Jimmy John. They tucked up to the inside. This is Onboard T Custom Marine. They're watching all of this go down in front of them. And Tommy, look how rough it is for them in that corner. That boat is all over the place, just trying to find a happier spot. Paul Whittier, Bob Teague trying to get clean water to make up some ground. Not how they started last year.
Running this short leg number 2 of this race course, headed back toward the east, back toward Key West. Or turn before they head home, and WHM Motorsports firmly in control as it stands right now.
In this class, Tommy, watch how these boats come through these corners. These boats are going to run really wide, but then they're going to move around each other, try and block these lanes coming out of the corners. There's nothing saying you can't cut somebody off in a straightaway as long as it's safe to do. They'll run a really wide course, try and get the other boats to slow down, but WHM doing a fantastic job out to the early lead in Key West.
Bring it right by the crowd here in Key West. Again, this is the number 1 race of the day, the one everyone has been waiting for. They love the roar of the engines as they pass by the mall here.
I am really impressed with the MTI of Pro Floors. They are currently in 2nd place, doing a fantastic job there. They just come into our view. They are going to be on the outside. Let's see if they can go a little bit wider through this corner, carry a little bit of speed. What these teams will actually do is go into the corner, trim the drives down a little bit, turn the boat. As they get through the corner, they'll start to trim the drives back up, bring the RPMs back up. These are naturally aspirated motors. They don't have a blower, they don't have a supercharger, so they don't have the instant torque that those motors do, so they've got to keep the RPMs up. That's why you see that high rooster tail. Now Jay Muller will start to accelerate, the rooster tail will come up, the RPMs will come up, and the boat will start to carry speed as we look at a battle between Cleveland Construction and Steel.
Jake Noble and Grant Bruggeman. Grant Bruggeman, you saw him in another boat last season and the season before. This team looking very much to get some continuity going, to get things going and get their team back in the slot, hooping for a championship.
Well, this is a really tough start for Jake in his first ever Key West race. It was really a lot of action going into that corner, and you saw him get pinched off. So they're going to have to do a little thinking now, maybe calm down, collect themselves, and try and make up some ground. But WHM has checked out, and watch Billy run a corner. This is amazing to see. Right next to that buoy, Billy is not afraid to turn this skater hull. Lots of experience in that boat between Jay and Billy, and they do a great job together.
WHM Motorsports picking up where they left off at the end of last season, but many more laps to go in this Superboat Race 1.
The Superboat Key West World Championship presented by STIHL is brought to you by Geico, Wake Effects, and by STIHL and the 36-volt STIHL Lightning battery system. What can you do on a single charge?
Our big race of the day, and we are well into it at the Superboat World Championships. The Superboat class, we head into lap number 8 and still in charge, WHM Motorsports.
WHM getting some big hops coming out of turn number 2. In this class, that might be a disadvantage because you want the boat to stay low and in the water. These big hops out of the water, bow up, that's going to cause the boat to slow down just a little bit. And when you have guys like Johnny Tomlinson and Myra Coyle behind you, that's not what you want to have happen. Those guys are running a fantastic race. They're slowly chipping away at that lead. Wow, WHM gave just enough room to Performance Boat Centers to get them into that little chicane area as they head into the harbor turn.
US 1 Performance Boat Center is going to have their work cut out for them if they want to overtake in the short amount of time left, the short amount of space left. This WHM Motorsports team, they are very canny and very cagey drivers with a lot of experience.
We know there won't be any room to the inside of a corner. Billy Moff runs buoy to buoy just like he did right there. look at Performance Boat Center Jimmy John on the outside. That was a tremendous amount of speed into that corner. About a half a rooster tail length behind WHM. WHM slowed just a little bit, squared that corner up. That allowed Performance Boat Center to make up just a little bit of ground, but watch the top in WH camera. They're looking out the window, Tommy. They know what's happening. Their crew is telling them that Performance Boat Center Jimmy John is on their tail.
Definitely got their full attention right now as we head down the first long stretch into turn number 1, the middle of lap 9.
Performance Boat Center Jimmy John's on the outside. Once again, we know Billy Moff is going to run buoy to buoy. Maybe Performance Boat Center Jimmy John wants to stay to the outside, wants to maintain that speed through the corners. But I can tell you, Tommy, it's getting rougher going into turn number 1. I'm seeing a lot more air underneath these boats. WHM just got another hop, but here he goes again. Right next to that buoy, he squares it up, and now Jay Muller going to get back on the gas and accelerate. But Jimmy John's Performance Boat Center stayed right to the outside of him. Look, they're just through that rooster tail. And any moment they could make this move, I think.
Absolutely cannot shake this team right here. They're on to something. Their setup is perfect for what's going on right here in the waning moments of this race right here in WHM. These guys watching their mirror, trying to hang on.
Trying to do everything they can. Wow, another big hop. Not sure if these are created by boat wake or if it's an actual wave from the ocean or the Gulf of Mexico. It kind of depends, but there's a lot of experience in these boats. Let me tell you, Billy Moff, Jay Muller, tons of experience at WHM. Myra Coyle and Johnny Tomlinson in Performance Boat Center Jimmy John's. Johnny Tomlinson, without a doubt, one of the best in the business, if not the best. He has really turned this team around, and you can see by their performance here in Key West. But Tommy, look what happened. WHM took a couple big hops there. Performance Boat Center stayed in the water. That's what I talked about. Performance Boat Center Jimmy John's is catching WHM.
Incrementally chipping away at that lead, and they head for the really difficult turn number 3. You got to think if they're going to make a major move, this might be their opportunity, Mike.
Well, Tommy, I don't mean to put you down, but they're not chipping away anymore. They're taking big gaps, big bites out of the lead of WHM. Look at that shot. They're almost side by side because that's a view from the canopy as WHM is on the inside of US 1 Performance Boat Center.
Didn't happen in turn 3, but it certainly happened in turn number 1 there. The move of the day right there.
Well, that was a fantastic shot of what exactly happened. I think WHM went wider in the corner, maybe to block through the harbor turn. That allowed US 1 Performance Boat Center to tuck to the inside, and then you saw going out that straightaway, WHM had another one of those big hops, caught some big air, and that allowed Performance Boat Center to get up to the inside of them. They controlled the lane through the corner, they had to the inside, and that allowed them to take the lead on this final lap here in Key West. What an exciting race.
That is racing at its best right there. An appreciative crowd all lining the way here, sending them all the way home to this victory in race number 1 in the Superboat class.
Thank you, Lord. I haven't been this jacked in a long time. Oh, man, what a race. That's the best one I've ever been in. Hey, boys, I ain't been this jacked up in a long time. That was good. Unbelievable job, guys. Myrick, unbelievable driving. Thanks, buddy.
Congratulations to Myrick and John. That was a masterful job right there. Still a long way to go before a championship, Mike, but a feather in your hat to be able to take down WHM.
That gives them a tremendous amount of confidence heading into the next 2 days of racing. They know they're set up now. They know the track. They kind of have a better idea of where they want to be. They saw WHM run that course. Now they can go back and talk about it and get ready for the next day.
Good setup, great execution today, and that adds up to top points for Performance Boat Center, a team that, well, with good reason, has to feel great about their efforts today.
That was a great race, man. One of the tightest races we've ever been involved in, and there's a lot of mirror driving going on up in the WHM boat, so he was protecting his line, entering the turn, he was protecting his line, looking for us, exiting the turns. Last lap, Billy went looking for us coming out of the turn, and he took a couple of flyers on the way to one, and we stayed in the water, and I was able just to and get up even with them, and then we were able just to dive into one on the inside and take it on the last lap.
Last lap heroics are always much appreciated. That's why it's our STIHL power move of the day. Good racing out there.
Exactly, and what happened here is Billy and Jay were running buoy to buoy, meaning they were turning right at the buoy, leaving no room for a boat to the inside. Johnny and Myrick knew they had to be there in order to be able to make that pass. That's what they did. They dove back to the inside. They were able to accelerate, carry just a little bit more speed than WHM. But I can tell you by watching that video, Performance Boat Center didn't have an easy time through that corner. They took a couple pretty big hops there, and they had to get themselves straight, but a fantastic job.
Fantastic job by all our boats in all of our classes today. Some great moments on the water here in Key West in this first day of racing. Now, what stands out? Well, of course, this move by the Miss Geico team to take over the lead and apparently gain the win in the race. But right now, some late-breaking notifications that, in fact, the Miss Geico team will be assessed a penalty with regard to this move right here. The particulars of that, we'll share that with you when we see you next time on the Superboat World Championships.